Hello class, this is our first video lecture in our subject Highway and Railroad Engineering. So I have already given to you your module number 1, study guide for module number 1. So we will just briefly discuss the content of the references as mentioned in this module. So Highway and Railroad Engineering. For the first part, we are to discuss the importance of transportation. So here it reads, tapping natural resources and markets and maintaining a competitive edge over other regions and nations are linked closely to the quality of the transportation system. How so? Well, the speed, cost, and capacity of available transportation have a significant impact on the economic vitality of an area and the availability to make maximum use of its natural resources. So, we are to maximize our natural resources, we will be needing to improve our transportation system. Why so? Well, does it mean that having a good transportation system is an assurance in economic success of a country? Well, the answer is, well, if only the transportation itself, it is not an assurance. Rather, it has a impact. It has a significant impact for the economic growth. As mentioned here in the second paragraph, it reads, good transportation in itself. So it says here, so good transportation itself will not assure success in the marketplace, as the availability of transportation is necessary but insufficient condition for economic growth. Halimbawa, well, gagawa ka na lang ba ng kalsada sa isang lugar, halimbawa sa isang bayan, and then yun na yung mismong magkukos ng success for that certain city. So meron ng roadway, and what's next? Economic growth na agad? No. It is only one of the important ingredient for the success of that city. So that is why it says here in the second paragraph, kung good transportation lang, it is not enough. Pero kailangan lang siya for the economic growth. And here, why? Why kailangan siya? Well, in the absence of supportive transportation services, it will serve to limit or hinder the potential for a nation or region to achieve its economic potential. Thus, if a society expects to develop and grow, it must have a strong internal transportation system consisting of good roads, rail systems, as well as excellent linkages to the rest of the world by sea and air. Thus, transportation demand is a byproduct derived from the needs and desires of people to travel or to transfer their goods from one place to another. It is a necessary condition for human interaction and economic competitiveness. So that's how it is. Just to transport people and goods in order to achieve economic competitiveness. Okay? Another thing to consider or to take note is that the availability of transportation facilities can strongly influence the growth and development of a region or nation. Good transportation permits the specialization of industry or commerce, reduces costs for raw materials or manufactured goods, and increases competition between regions, thus resulting in reduced prices and greater choices for the consumer. O nga naman, so kung meron nga naman tayong good transportation system, there is a significant growth in the supply of goods. Now with the increase of the supply of goods, then there will be a competition for the prices. So magbababaan yung mga prices. Kaya mas affordable na sa masa. Now, if if you have observed during this quarantine season, as some roads are being blocked for the lockdown, some commodities have increased their prices. So that happened because of the limitation of the transportation of goods. So as you can see, there is an effect of the having a transportation system with the economy. Okay, and also other thing to think about is that transportation is also a necessary element of government services. So aside from the transportation of goods, there's also the services such as delivering mail, defense, and assisting territories. So this is also a way to ensure the safety of the yung community natin, yung mamamayan natin, in case of an invasion or no, not in case of invasion, but in a probable attack. So at least makakapag-prepare ang gobyerno. They can transport their equipments to protect the territories. Now, we have been mentioning transportation. And ang pinakamagandang inote dito is it says here, it keeps on repeating good transportation. So, meaning, we need to maintain the health of the transportation facilities, or for example, if the road, yung kalsada natin is sira-sira, it will take time before a certain commodity or services can reach a certain region. So the delay of time could mean we can lose revenue, or the worst case will be loss of lives. For example, may tatransport kang pasyente na nag-aagaw buhay, kung hindi naman maganda yung kalsada, or let's say poorly built yung kalsada natin, so hindi maita-transfer kaagad yung pasyente dun sa hospital. So that's the worst case scenario there, the loss of lives because of poor construction of roadway or any means of transportation. Okay, so that is for the importance of transportation. Now, we will be tackling also for the 1.2 the different modes of transportation. Here we are to read pages 3 to 47 of Garber and Hoel. I have given that already, that reference in the MS Teams. You can view it or download it so that you can access it even though you're offline. Okay, so let's turn to pages 34 to 47 of Garber and Hoel. Well, mahaba nga yung or maraming pages nga yung kailangan dito, 34 to 47. Well, hindi naman ibig sabihin lahat ng contents nun is itatakal natin. Now, this is just a short introduction, and we will not going to be in depth too much with the topics. Now, we will just tackling some ideas for you to familiarize para mas maintindihan natin yung mga susunod pang mga lessons. Okay, so we have their modes of transportation. This is page 34 of Traffic and Highway Engineering by Garber and Hoel, 4th edition. Okay, so I have underlined yung mga emphasize natin ng mga ideas, because if we tackle everything, then it will take hours for us to discuss this. So I just took some thoughts from these references. Okay, so we have their modes of transportation. Well, we have different modes of transportation, and each mode offers a unique set of service characteristics in terms of travel time, frequency, comfort, reliability, convenience, and safety. So, o nga naman, nagkakaroon tayo ng iba't ibang klase or iba't ibang modes of transportation because of these characteristics. Now, the term level of service is used to describe the relative values of these attributes. Okay? Now, the first one that we will be discussing about as mode of transportation is the freight and passenger traffic. Now, freight and passenger traffic, from the word freight, we are talking about the transportation of goods. So, ano-ano yung mga mode of transportation na yun na ginagamit natin to transport goods? Now, we have their highways, railroads, water, and pipeline. So, you're familiar with the highway transportation. So, you can observe yung mga trucks natin, nagdadala sila ng mga goods. For example, mga sibuyas, mga perishable goods. We have also the goods used for construction, yung mga RSB natin, mga reinforcing steel bars natin, hollow blocks, sand, gravel. Then, you have the railroads. Railroads, yung mga train. You have the LRT, MRT, the PNR. Okay, so we're talking about the transportation of goods. So we can use railroads for that. Okay, water. So water, we have there the Roro. So you can observe in the Roro, they carry goods. Sometimes they carry cars, vehicles, and mga bigas na transporting from one region to another or one city to another na may pagitan silang katubigan. So to transport them, we need vehicle or mode of transportation like the barge, mga barko, bangka. And the fourth one is something that mostly are not familiar, pipelines. A mode of transportation is pipeline. So to have an idea, we have there, we have Google search, anong ibig sabihin natin by pipeline transportation or pipeline transport. We have there, pipeline transport is the long distance transportation of a liquid or gas through a system of pipes, a pipeline, typically to a market area for consumption. So, ito yung mga tubo, malalaking tubo, kung you were able to observe this, they are actually transporting liquid or gases na hindi na dinadala ng truck. Diba may mga na-observe kayo na mga truck na may daladalang mga metal cylinder, and ang content nun is gases, petroleum, gasoline, and other goods that is contained in the vessel. Well, may other way pa to transport these liquids or gases, that is through pipeline. Sa Pilipinas, ano yung mga pipeline transport natin? So, I use the Manila Times paper here. So, says there, running fuel products through a pipeline is a simple matter of practicality and economics. Pipelines are still the most cost-effective way to move a large volume of fuels over long distances. O nga naman, kasi hindi ka nagagastos ng tao na magdadrive, hindi ka na rin gagastos ng gasolina. And also, yung possibility of accidents may iwasan din. Kasi diretso na to, pipeline na yung dadaanan ng produkto, hindi na mismo dun sa truck. Now, what are the pipeline transport here in the Philippines? Okay, ba't ayaw? Ayun. Okay, here it says, the Philippines has 529.5 kilometers. Imagine that. of natural gas transmission pipelines that transport gas from where? From the Malampaya gas field to fuel 3 power plants, the 500 megawatts San Lorenzo, the 1,000 megawatts Santa Rita, and 1,200 megawatts Ilihan power plants in Batangas province. And also there are 9 other natural gas pipeline projects that is under construction for Luzon from 2017 to 2020. And according to the government's Philippine Energy Plan or PEP, these are the Batangas Manila 1 or Batman 1, the Batman 2, Bataan Cavite or the Bat Cave. So, mukhang fun ni Batman to. Subic Pipeline, Clark Pipeline, Subic Fort Bonifacio Pipeline, Sukat Malaya, Sukat Quirino Lines, and a City Gas Distribution Network, the EDSA TAF Gas Pipeline. So, these are the pipelines existing here in the Philippines. Okay? So, we go back to our discussion. Ayaw. Okay, if we go back to our discussion. Okay, so that's your pipelines under the freight and passenger traffic. The next one is the public transportation. Now, public transportation is a generic term used to describe the family of transit services available to urban and rural residents. So, this is not a single mode but a variety of traditional and innovative services which should complement each other to provide system-wide mobility. Now, transit modes, this included mass transit, characterized by fixed routes, published schedules, designated networks, and specified stops. So, mass transit vehicles includes buses, light rail, trolleys, or rapid transit that either share space in mixed traffic or operate on grade separated rights of way. So, what can you think about if you say mass transit? Well, I'm thinking about yung mga buses natin, like yung Dagupan bus, kasi they have fixed routes. Meron silang schedule and meron silang specified stops wherein aabangan mo sila para makasakay ka na. Okay? And also, what else? Sa airways natin, you have yung mga Philippine Airlines. Another mass transit. What else? We have there the LRT, MRT, because they have schedules and designated networks. Okay. Another one is the para-transit. What is a para-transit? It is characterized by flexible and personalized service intended to replace conventional fixed route, fixed schedule mass transit line. So, hindi siya fixed route, hindi rin siya fixed schedule. Ano tong mga to? Para-transit is available to the public on demand by subscription or on a shared ride basis. And example of this include taxi, car rental, dial-a-ride, and specialized services for elderly, medical, and other designated users. When I read this definition, one thing came to my mind. We have the Grab car, Grab taxi, Grab tricycle. So, ito yung meron kang subscription, tinatawagan mo sila just to have a ride. Okay? Now, the last one is ride sharing. It is characterized by 2 or more persons traveling together by pre-arrangement, such as carpool, vanpool, or shared ride taxi. Carpooling, sharing a ride with your friends, that is ride sharing, which actually ito yung pinaka naisip ko na advisable sana na gawin dito sa Pilipinas to reduce traffic. Because if you have observed, there's so many cars. There's so many vehicles in the road. And you can observe also that on those vehicles, ilan lang naman yung nakasakay. Well, prior to the quarantine, you can observe it already. Well, during this quarantine season, well, you can see, of course, may limited number of passengers sa sasakyan. Pero before the quarantine, na-observe na natin na meron yung nagdadrive ng kotse, mag-isa lang niya, nagdadrive ng van, mag-isa lang niya, dadalawa lang sila. If only there's ride sharing, you share rides with people instead of each family buying a car, and then sa isang pamilya, 5 sila, may car si tatay, may car si nanay, may car si ate, may car si kuya, may car si bunso. 5 car yun, pupunta lang sila sa kung saan. If only that family shares a ride, 1 car or 2 car for that family, then hindi ba't mas makakatulong yon to reduce the volume of vehicle in the road? You cannot just solve traffic by adding roads. You can actually solve the traffic by discipline in itself, right? Kasi nagdadagdag ka ng roads, edi nababawasan na rin yung ating kalupaan na pwede sanang gamitin in other means like pagtatanim or construction of facilities like hospitals, right? But if we have discipline, if each consumer is disciplined enough, if you parang pigilin mo yung urge na maging yun nga, you collect your vehicles and yun, iisa mo lang nasasakay doon, hindi nakadagdag ka pa sa volume of traffic sa roads natin. So that's my observation. So whatever your observation is, well, that's valid then. Now for the another mode, we have there the highway transportation. Now highway transportation is the dominant mode in passenger travel and one of the principal freight modes. Bakit? Kasi ito yung mas maraming nakukonstruct na means of transportation, highways. So here in the Philippines, ano yung mga highways natin? So let's see the statistics. Let's first see what are the major expressways or highways in the Philippines. So here we have an article list major expressways and highways in the Philippines. So tingnan natin yan, babasahin lahat, naubos yung oras natin. We have here I'm sure one or more of this is na experience nyo ng madaanan. So we have there South Luzon Expressway, we have there the SLEX, the Metro Manila Skyway, the Southern Tagalog Arterial Road or Star Tollway, the Subic-Clark Tarlac Expressway or SCTEX, the Muntinlupa Cavite Expressway or MCX, the North Luzon Expressways or NLEX, the Manila Cavite Expressway or Cavitex, NAIA Expressway on Subic Tipo Expressway, Tarlac Pangasinan La Union Expressway or TPLEX, and the most famous, the EDSA or the Epifanio de los Santos Avenue. So these are our major expressways and highways in the Philippines. Yan, pwede nyo nang idagdag sa bucket list. Ilan na dito ang nadaanan nyo na expressway and highway. Hindi it statistics. Okay. Before we go to the statistics, we have there, meron palang article regarding the new expressways being built. So this article is March 2022 pa. So what is this new Philippines expressway being built? So the article says, construction is currently underway for the new expressway connecting Laguna Batangas, and Quezon provinces in the Philippines. And that is the South Luzon Expressway Toll Road or TR4 route, which will measure 67 km when complete and should reduce journey times for drivers in the area. The work on the toll road project is split into 6 stretches, while the intended completion date is on 2022. So sa 2022 pa. Meanwhile, there's a proposal for a new toll road linking the North Luzon Expressway and the Manila-Cavite Expressway. It is being evaluated. The route will measure 15 km and feature both elevated sections and tunnels. Building the new road link would cut congestion and journey times while boosting transport to and from Manila's port. So, yeah, they are constructing new expressway. Now, just as I mentioned, para sa akin lang naman, na ano lang naman ako na kung may discipline tayo, bawat consumer, then if we reduce our vehicle, then I think mas malaking impact sana. But then, if the government has been able to see that the construction of these two expressways will increase economic growth, then why not? It's just my opinion lang naman na if possible, bawasan na lang sana yung mga sasakyan. Okay? Now, bakit ang tagal-tagal mag-construct? Now, here are the reasons why. For the road building process, here are the processes.